Hi, welcome to Cloud Tech Bucket. Today we are going to install a two node vSAN cluster. As you can see, I have a vCenter server and two vSAN server and one witness node. So let's get to my lab. So this is my vCenter server and I have three nodes already here. As you can see, DC underscore lab, that is my data center. And I have added my vSAN server 1, server 2 and my vSAN witness. So let me show you. In my vSAN server, I have two disks. One is 480 GB, another one is 960 GB. So 480 GB, the disks will be used for caching, and 960 GB disks will be used for capacity. So in my server 2, that is fine, and my third host is also, which is the will be used for vSAN, that's also same. So as I am testing in a lab environment, which is a nested environment, so that's fine for me. And another thing I want to show you that I have two Ethernet adapter BMNIC 0 and 1. I added to B switch 0, and on my B switch 0 I have one VM kernel adapter, which is my ESXi management also. So we remember that we need to allow the vMotion, vSAN and management traffic here. So in production network, what we do, we use the management network. One is separate VMNIC, and the vSAN and vMotion that can be separated on other VMNIC interface, and as well as other B switch. So that's for production, but for my lab, I'm using the same B switch and the VMNIC for management, vSAN and vMotion traffic. So this is true for my another server 2, and also my witness nodes also. So let's do one thing. Let's create a cluster under this host. So we will create a new cluster and we will name it as vSAN cluster, vSAN underscore CLS. So that will be my vSAN cluster. So as you know, for vSAN deployment, you can configure the ESA node. So if you want to or wish to configure vSAN ESA, then you can tick mark here. But as I'm installing a single site with two node, so I'm not using the ESA option. And the image you can manage for production, but in my case, I'm not using the image to maintain my infrastructure. And click next. Everything's good, fine. I'm clicking on finish. As you can see, I have a cluster configured, which is tick mark is there, and then the vSAN service is already enabled onto this cluster. So let's do one thing. Let's add the host. So I added the host into my data center already. So from there I can select the host. So I click on add and then click add. So from here you can add as a new server, but as I already added into the data center, I can select from here. I will select server 1 and server 2 from here and then click next. So it will show my ESXi version and the tools version here. I'm clicking next. Here I got a message that host will go to a maintenance mode and move to cluster. That's fine for me. Click finish. So it started adding the host to my cluster. It will take a minute to complete the host adding to the cluster. Okay, so the host is added to the cluster. Now let's configure the vSAN traffic and vSAN data store. So we will click on configure, and then as you can see, we can create the distribution switch and all those things here. but I'm not going to configure the distribution switch right now. So I will skip these and I will select configure networking settings later. Then we'll go to next, and as from the drop down list, the deployment type, we will choose Two Node vSAN cluster. So when we select Two Node vSAN cluster, you can see the witness host option is there. We'll click next, and then we will claim the disk. So let's see. We have two 480 GB disk. We'll make it flash. This is 480 GB disk, and we will claim it as a cache tier. Then those disks will be HDD, and we will make those disks as capacity tier. Okay, so we have two disks for cache and two disks for capacity. So server one we have one capacity and one cache. On server two we have one capacity and one cache. Let's go to next. So it's asking me to select a witness. So as I already added the witness host here, I'm selecting that witness server. Compatibility check is succeed. Now next, GB as capacity. So we are selecting these two and click next. So seems all is good. We will click on finish. It will take some time to configure the cluster. Let's wait for a few minutes to complete these configurations. We'll be back soon once the cluster configuration is completed. Okay, so the configure host configuration is completed, and as you can see online help from here. So let's see if we can have the data store here. If we click on data store, as you can see, we have this vSAN data store already created. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a virtual machine on this data store so that we can understand that the configuration is okay. Clicking new virtual machine. Okay, new virtual machine will create. We'll name it as a test VM. Then from this, okay, VM place, and here we don't have an issue. Server one. Then we'll select vSAN data store. Clicking next. Update to and later. Windows Server 2019. That's fine for me. Clicking next. Select 2 for I'm leaving it as it is. Clicking next. Finish. Yeah, so our test virtual machine is created. So that's all of creating a two node vSAN cluster. So this is a demo lab. So in production lab, we can use multiple VM NIC for management and vSAN traffic separated, as I showed before. So hope we'll see you soon on any next video. Thank you very much. Have a nice time. Bye bye.